Hello everyone, this is my first post here and I just wanted to share, gather some opinions, and vent since I have no other channel available to me right now that gives me this opportunity, so I really appreciate to every single one of you who decides to read and share their honest thoughts from an outside perspective. Background: I'm 29 male, wife 29 female, and we have 2 beautiful girls under 4 years old. Bear in mind my wife suffers from depression. At one point, was hospitalized and was diagnosed as being suicidal. She takes medication, or at least should be taking medication as instructed. Story: I caught my wife having an affair back in December 2020. I didn't find out until a month later, January 2022, when my 2-year-old daughter gave me my wife's cell phone since it was out in the open in the living room. The lights popped up due to an incoming text message. The moment I got the phone, I noticed the text message said, "I love you." I recognized the name. It was a close friend of hers, and my heart dropped. Not from that message alone, but the messages that were exchanged before. I was filled with anger, shock, disappointment, and darkness. I couldn't believe I was experiencing what I consider a nightmare. When I confronted my wife with her phone, I asked her, "What is this? What is going on?" I kid you not, the first thing that comes out of her mouth is, "Why are you even looking at my phone?" From there, I was even more angry than before. Could not believe what came out of her mouth. She didn't feel sorry until further down our conversation. However, now that I think about it, her sorry wasn't sincere. The fact that I had to dig it out of her. Even then, it's not how I would act at all if I was in her position. Anyhow, she tells me her side of the story and confirmed she had sexual intercourse with this guy on multiple occasions. She emphasized that she was super depressed, wasn't happy at the house, and that I wasn't giving what she needed, nor was I truly listening to her for a while. In general, she tried to play the victim and blame me for her actions. Of course, I did not know how to react knowing what I know now, so I took the blame like a fool. I literally blamed myself for her cheating. Devastation and heartbreaking doesn't come close to how I felt and how I feel now just thinking about it. I do not wish this type of behavior on anyone. Fast forward 1 month later, I decided that I wanted to continue our relationship and try to reconcile. But the only way for it to work was for her to break the affair and block this guy from all forms of social media outlets, messaging apps, etc. Literally erase this home wrecker from our family. She did that, and I was there when she made the phone call and blocking him on all social media outlets. A year passes, and while we had some rocky moments, I felt like things were getting better. We continued to see a couples therapist once a week, and that lasted for 7 months. We ended the sessions thinking we no longer needed them and continued to practice what we gathered from the sessions. It's now February 2022, on a Saturday morning. I wake up at 5:30 a.m. to feed our cat. I go back to our bedroom and noticed her phone was out next to her. I simply wanted to close the phone and get back to sleep, but noticed it was the AP's username. I could not believe what I saw. I paused for a moment thinking this was all but a nightmare. I didn't scroll through the messages because that was more than enough for me. Everything that I thought ended a year ago all came back flashing before my eyes. This time, I was calm, collective, and didn't shout or scream in anger like I did the first time. I woke her up and asked, "Who is this? What's going on?" She didn't say a word for 5 to 10 minutes. It was complete silence. She then proceeds to explain that once again she wasn't happy, felt depressed, and didn't really stop having feelings for this guy. However, he only reached out to check up on me to make sure I was alive. At that point, I just couldn't trust what she said at all. The second chance, the little trust I still had for her, spat right back into my face. From there, she didn't apologize right off the bat. She tried to play the victim, justifying why she did what she did and that it was my fault for thinking we didn't need to continue couples therapy after the 7 months. I took a walk outside for 30 minutes, came back and said I want a divorce. I can't continue punishing myself even though I still love you. Ever since then, I've continued to question myself. My self-esteem has never been this damaged before in my entire life. I believe marriage is sacred because I was raised with that mindset. So now, we are in the process of getting a lawyer to prepare for the divorce process. I'm still trying to process everything, speaking with my friends for support, and so on. Once we are divorced, I plan to tell her family why we divorced rather than her trying to hide the truth. But what do you guys think? Should I? I feel like I should, to ensure they don't believe any lies that may came out her mouth to suit her own agenda. Lastly, 1. Why do cheaters like to play victim the moment they are caught? 2. Why do cheaters blame the betrayed spouse? 3. Why do I question my own sanity when I'm not the one who cheated? Again, thank you so much for everyone that took the time to read and share their thoughts. I hope everyone that has moved on is at a better mental state and is with someone who truly cares and respects you no matter how things unfold. Found out X was a serial cheater after breakup helped me make sense of it. I was in a relationship for 10 years. I wanted to end the relationship multiple times because I loved him like I loved family, but we were very different people. Him, a person with low energy and low motivation who is always home, and I, very energetic and a high-achieving person who loves the outdoors. But I would always decide to stay partially because I had so much going on that I probably didn't want to deal with meeting new people. And also because he checked all the basic boxes that I knew my friends were having a hard time finding. Also, I know relationships are a two-way thing, but he was so passive that everything always felt like was my decision. And that's why I'm stating this as if it was my decision instead of us. This was another major reason eventually for our breakup, because I was just carrying the two of us. He was very kind and supportive, and trustworthy, and handsome, and to many others, hot, but I found him to be too low energy, so couldn't find him attractive the same way. But really, I trusted him more than anyone. And so did many of my friends and family. He had a passive personality that truly annoyed me, but that combined with his kindness made you think he couldn't ever do something to hurt you. Once in year 5, I caught him on a date with another girl. That should have been a red flag because it was an elaborate lie. I was devastated and truly could not believe that he could be a cheater. But he truly put in an effort to convince me that it was a one-time thing. Fast forward 5 years. I eventually pulled the plug on the relationship after trying an open relationship on my request, and just realizing that this relationship is the wrong one for me and probably for him. Truth be told, more than anything I felt guilty for leaving him. Divided by, and I was scared of losing my best friend. But after promising each other that we'll stay best friends, we broke up again. Initiated by me. We stayed friends. In the 2 years that followed, we stayed very good friends. We had a tangled web of friends and truly managed to work it out. I met someone when we broke up who I truly loved and felt true joy and love for the first time since I was a kid. But I felt so guilty for being happy because every time I talked to my ex, he would be sad and complaining, and if I asked him about his love life, he would tell me, "Oh, you know me, I don't even know where to go. I'm not doing anything." One time when I was telling my good friend who knows him about my guilt for being happy, he said, "What are you talking about? I was with him last week and he was making out with 2 people. But he would continue to tell me that he's not seeing anyone. He had always been that way, extremely low energy, and will always bring miserable and sad news to me. Like I would be the first person he would call if something was wrong, and things were always wrong for him, and I would have to go to the rescue. And then I would have to find out about the good news myself. Also, I have to say that I was always more successful than him in achieving the things I wanted and felt guilty for it, and had to downplay my success because he was struggling to even find a job. I always supported him and would help him apply to school and jobs and all. So about 2 years after our breakup, I was feeling guilty because I've never been happier in my relationship and my ex. Well, still complaining and sad, and also he started to see a sex worker, which he was starting to develop emotions for, and I think she wasn't available, so he was just really sad. I was a bit in shock to see his type, but I was happy that he at least had someone so he wouldn't just bring his misery to me. I especially continued our friendship because I kept feeling bad for him, even though I was tired of all his misery and negativity he brought. Then a distant friend who was his friend's ex came to me and said that she had slept with him 7 years before we broke up, before the time that I found out he was on a date. Also, apparently she got herpes after they slept together. Given all of this and some other context, I'm 100% sure he was a serial cheater and slept with many people when he was with me, with no protection. So here is how I feel. I feel grossed out because he was not respectful of my health. I feel shocked because I thought I was good at understanding people, and I can't believe he could be a cheater. I had many times when I thought there might be something off. Catching his colleagues flirting with him playing it dumb, and me gaslighting myself into thinking him being insecure. I feel angry because I wanted to break up with him so many times, and even when we had the open relationship or the breakup, that was all initiated by me. Why on earth would he not break up when he had so many chances? I'm also angry because he jeopardized my health and, for example, never told me about the herpes incident. I feel confused because I had stopped loving him romantically before we even broke up and haven't felt any emotions towards him. So I'm not feeling emotionally hurt the same way one would if you were in love or in a relationship, but also not sure how to describe how I feel. Would love to hear what you all think and help me understand how I'm feeling and how I can move on and trust again. I still have a lot of anger, especially because he has really messed up my friend group dynamic because I don't want to see him. I just recently found this subreddit and even learned the term serial cheater from this, and it has been very fruitful to realize this is an archetypal behavior.